In the spotlight is the leader of the Scottish Labour Party, Jim Murphy. He was first elected to Westminster in 1997 and went on to serve as Secretary of State for Scotland in Gordon Brown's government. He was elected Scottish Party leader in December last year. Jim Murphy, please address the audience.
This is the most important election vote that Scotland will cast for very many years. With the opinion polls being so tight and the polls across the UK showing what's a dead heat, the votes of Scotland will decide whether David Cameron gets to stay or whether he has to go. If Scotland votes Labour, then we'll all have a Labour government. That's important because we have to bring an end to the 5 years of Tory austerity because Scotland deserves better. Labour's plan is based on a simple idea, which is that Scotland succeeds when working families succeed. That's why our plan of abolishing exploitative zero-hours contracts, increasing the minimum wage to at least £8.50 an hour, why we'll abolish the need for children to be fed by food banks. It's a much better way of running our country. David Cameron has spent the last 5 years dividing our country between the poor and the prosperous. He now has a new divide and rule plan, which is the idea that if he can keep everyone who wants him out of Downing Street divided, then he gets to continue ruling. Just finally, I know that Scotland's not big enough to beat a Tory government by ourselves, but I know the rest of Britain can't do it without us. Only Labour's big enough, only Labour's strong enough to defeat the Tories and their austerity. That's the opportunity at this election. Let's go out and seize it.
OK, let's take a question for Jim Murphy. For Kenneth Martin. Where is Kenneth? Yes, Kenneth.
What is the point of raising the maximum rate of income tax for those earning £150,000 or more to 50%, when in 2012 the rate was reduced to 45% and Customs and Revenue realised an extra £9 billion of revenue?
Well, Kenneth, thank you for your question, and this is one of the most important issues in the election, is that other parties can say you can have a world-class NHS and you can have a better education system, but you can have it all for cheaper. Labour's approach is simple, and I know it's not popular in every election to say that we will put some people's taxes up, but we will. If you earn over £150,000, first of all, well done, congratulations. But we are going to ask you to pay a little more, because the National Health Service that we believe in needs that funding. And I know some people say you can't win an election by promising to tax some people more. I've just got a greater faith in our fellow citizens that at a time when so many people are struggling, those with the broadest shoulders should pay a little more.
Kenneth, what did you make of the answer?
Well, it puzzles me slightly because if I was earning £150,000, which I'm not, and you put the rate up to 50%, I'd be running up to the wages office demanding a pay cut of £1 a year, which would save me £6,000 in tax.
OK, let's take some more... Let's stick on this theme and take one or two more contributions on it. Yes, sir?
The Labour Party says they stand for the working man. Now, could you tell me, if you get into power, myself and thousands of other local authority workers in Scotland have had a 5-year wage freeze. We got 1% in 2013, 1% in 2014. Our standard of living has gone down. Would the Labour Party help to do anything about that?
So we'll set out to do that, of course, and you're right, the Labour Party is the party of the common man and, of course, the common woman. And so many women in particular who work in local authorities are struggling so much over recent years. So what we will do, sir, as I alluded to earlier, is we will increase some taxes. We'll increase that tax on people who earn over £150,000. We'll also change the pension arrangements, so we'll raise hundreds of millions of pounds by taxing those who earn over £150,000 in terms of the pension savings arrangements. And we'll also introduce a tax on bankers' bonuses. All of this money will be used to fund the fairer public services here in Scotland.
Okay,
but the one thing we won't do is we won't increase the council tax, sir. because I don't think working families and middle-class families should be expected to pay
The
more.
question was specifically about public sector workers and below inflation increases which cut their standard of living. The answer that you gave is that you would set out to end it. He's not interested in you setting out, he's just interested in you ending it. Will you give public sector workers inflation wage increases or not?
So I can't guarantee this evening to increase everybody's wages way above inflation. But what I can guarantee is to end this sort of austerity. So not only will it be a national minimum wage, we'll have a living wage. We'll also ensure that public sector workers have a freeze, along with the rest of Scotland, a freeze on their energy bills. We'll also ensure a lower cost of living through those sorts of measures on rent caps. Do you know, we spend a vast amount on housing benefit in Scotland, but we don't build enough houses. So we would use some of that housing benefit money to build houses so that people can afford to live in those rents again, because too many people are priced out of decent
So
housing
do you want
in Scotland.
a brief response to that?
I would just like to hold him to his word and what he says he's going to do.
Well, sir,
Okay,
we'll get back together at the end of the year, and if Labour wins the election and I haven't started to do those things, you can throw me out of power.
a new question from Carolyn Murphy. Where is Carolyn? Yes,
Hi.
thank you.
Hello, Carolyn.
Good evening, Jim. As a small nation, why do you feel we need to retain weapons of mass destruction?
Okay. Carolyn, just for the avoidance of doubt, Carolyn, I think we can tell by your question we're not related. We may both be Murphys, but we're not.
No,
we're not
definitely
related.
Definitely not.
We're not that either of us are aware of. Look,
please.
Carolyn, based upon your question, first of all, we're not related, and I'm not sure I can absolutely convince you, but I'm going to have a try. I want a world free of nuclear weapons, but we can't uninvent the technology. We have to negotiate away the capability. So the last Labour government did cut the number of warheads by a higher proportion than any other nation on earth. So I don't want just a Scotland free of nuclear weapons. I don't think it makes much sense to just move our weapons to the north of England. I want them off the face of the planet altogether. But in a world where Iran has been trying to get a nuclear bomb and North Korea is also trying, I think it's a much safer thing to negotiate with the Americans, the French, and all of those other nations so that we can free not just one country, but the entire planet of these weapons of mass destruction.
Carolyn?
Does it not trouble you that it's only 50 miles from our major city, Glasgow?
I hate the fact that nuclear weapons are next to any city, town or village, but it would also trouble me if they were in the north of England. I want them out of every city, out of every country, and that's why we work with President Obama and others to make that happen.
Let's stick on the issue of Trident. Any women want to make a contribution, I think? Yes, sir. Sorry.
Do you really think we would use these weapons?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Do you really think that we would use weapons of mass destruction on other countries?
Well, of course, these weapons are out on our submarines 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at the moment, of course, and I think it's an opportunity to, first of all, say thank you to the members of the armed forces who are on those submarines and who help keep our country safe, and whether it's the Army, Navy or in the Air Force. I would hate a world where we'd ever have to use these nuclear weapons. I can't think of ever having to do that. But nor can I think that my grandchildren's generation should be left here in Scotland or across the UK not having that deterrent when Iran and North Korea are trying to acquire it. Let's make sure that India, Pakistan, America, France and all the other countries along with us get rid of all of these weapons so we can never use them.
Contribution here. Yes, sir.
Where would you re-employ the 10,000 people who work in the Trident industry?
So I'm not planning to change these things, but of course there are thousands of jobs in Scotland reliant upon the nuclear deterrent. You know, that's not why I don't want to get rid of them unilaterally. I just think it makes sense for countries all across the world to do it together. But it is a fact, sir, that very large amounts of public work, a huge amount of contracts go on Royal Navy ships and boats and submarines.
Ships don't carry nuclear weapons.
Of course,
Submarines
sir,
carry
but
nuclear
the shipbuilding on the Clyde is the one thing that keeps the Clyde afloat. And
You
it's
get rid of the
important we stay...
Trident missile, and what you're going to do, you're going to make Helensburgh a ghost town, the whole of the Gairloch a ghost area, all the tourist industry
Briefly,
in the
Jim
west of
Murphy.
Scotland, you're going to wipe it out in
So
one
Helen-
easy way.
I'm not from Helensburgh. I was there recently.
am I.
It is. You're not from there?
No.
You sound as though you'd
Briefly.
like to be.
Very
it's,
briefly.
it's a lovely town.
I served in the Navy.
But sir, I'm not suggesting that we do that. I'm proud of our armed forces. I know how much they do. And I also know how much defence jobs create and contribute to Scotland's economy.
Okay.
And we lose that at our jeopardy.
Jim Murphy, thank you very much indeed. That's all for part 2, but stay with us for part 3 when Nicola Sturgeon and Willie Rennie take questions from our audience. Don't go away.